Hello and welcome, everyone. We're just giving a few minutes for people to trickle in as we start this webinar here. And as we've said in the chat, we will get started in a couple of minutes. As you come in and have questions already, feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box, and we'll be answering your questions live at the end of the webinar and also via chat throughout. We'll give maybe another minute for people to trickle in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. All right. Hi again. Our rate of people joining seems to have slowed down, so we will go ahead and get started. I'm Zofia Gatos, the Director of Online Education here at the Thayer School of Engineering at Dartmouth. And I'll kick us off by giving you a little overview of our agenda, and then we'll dive right into our content. So first we'll introduce the panelists speaking. Each of us will introduce ourselves. I'll give you a brief overview of the history of Dartmouth and of the Thayer School of Engineering. I'll talk a little bit about the online Master of Engineering program, and then I'll pass it over to one of our program faculty, Tucker Bergen, to talk about the deep learning course. And then I'll be passing it over to Ken Watson and Ryan West, who are going to talk about student services, financial aid, and the application process. And as I said, we will be closing with some Q&A. We'll answer some of your questions live, or we will also be answering your questions throughout if you put them in the Q&A function via the chat. All right. So today, our panelists, I will let you introduce them. I'll let everybody introduce themselves. Tucker, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, hi everyone. I really need to update that photo on my profile there because of course I look a little different now. But I'm happy to be here. My name is Tucker Bergen. I am an assistant professor of engineering here at Thayer. My research specialty is in the engineering of enzymes using machine learning, and so I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the machine learning course, specifically the deep learning course that I'm going to be teaching as part of this program later today.
All right, and I've already introduced myself. As I said, I'm our Director of Online Education. Ken, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Sure, thanks. Hi, everyone. My name is Ken Watson. I'm the Online Education Program Manager. So I work really closely with students as they go through our degree program at all aspects, beginning with the onboarding and admission cycle through your time while you are a student, and then as you graduate and are eventually a successful Dartmouth alum. So I'll be with you as you progress through the degree program.
And
And
hello,
Ryan, yep.
everyone. My name is Ryan West, and I'm an enrollment counselor with Coursera. Glad to help out with any and all questions on the degree program for the Master of Engineering in Computer Engineering, certainly the application process, anything else that'll be helpful for you. So I am certainly available to talk, especially we'll talk a little later about some deadlines coming up soon. So hopefully I'll be hearing from some of you.
Great. Thank you, everybody. And you'll be hearing from the rest of our panelists as we go through the webinar. I'll kick us off by talking a little bit about Dartmouth. Our physical campus is located in Hanover, New Hampshire. We're a little bit northwest of Boston, not too far from New York City, and we're a little bit south of Montreal as well. And even though this is a fully remote degree program, we do invite you to come to campus, particularly for commencement. We've actually had a couple of students in the program come and visit campus for different events. So you are welcome to drop by, meet people in person if you find yourself in the area. It's a beautiful campus, and Dartmouth is a really wonderful school with a really deep commitment to an undergraduate liberal arts and graduate education with research and scholarship in the arts and sciences, as well as at our graduate schools. So the Thayer School of Engineering at Dartmouth was one of the first professional schools of engineering in the country founded. So we were founded in 1867. And our philosophy here at Thayer is to combine engineering with the liberal arts to produce well-rounded, human-centered engineers. So we want the engineering work that we're doing to solve problems through engineering research and innovation. Our approach is to have hands-on interdisciplinary collaboration with a design-oriented curriculum, and that carries through into our online degree program. Even though you're online, you will still be doing hands-on projects. And our faculty are welcoming, accessible, supportive, and leaders in their fields, and we're excited to let you hear more from one of our faculty today. So the online Master of Engineering and Computer Engineering, we launched our first cohort last March. So Dartmouth is on the quarter system, so we have 4 quarters per year. So March is the kickoff of the spring term, and we also do an intake in the fall term. And then we have courses in the summer and winter as well. The focus of this degree program is on intelligent systems, which are these systems that will enable you to build your mastery in the foundational technologies in AI, virtual and augmented reality, autonomous robots, and self-driving cars. You'll also be working on many courses, you'll be working on team projects to help you gain some of those collaboration and power skills that you need for leadership and impact, doing engineering out in the world beyond your degree program. This program is also designed with flexibility. There are 9 courses that you are required to complete. You can take 1 or 2 courses at a time. And as I said before, we're on quarters, so these terms are 10 weeks long, so they will go by quickly. But you can schedule them around your other commitments and other things that are going on in your life. So you can balance your job, your family, or other responsibilities with your schoolwork. And if you're taking 2 courses at a time, you can finish the degree program in as little as 15 months. We've put together some sample course plans, and these are looking at when you might take the courses if you are starting in the spring. So we have an application deadline coming up in about 10 days, actually exactly 10 days. For the spring cohort, that's the final deadline for the spring cohort, and this is what your enrollment might look like. We'll send out these slides afterwards, so you'll be able to look at this in more detail, but these are the courses and when you would be taking them if you were coming in, doing a spring start, and taking courses on a continuous schedule. Now I'm going to pass it over to one of our faculty to talk about the deep learning course.
Thanks, Sophia. Yeah, so I'm just going to tell you a little bit about one of these courses that you would take as part of this degree program that I'm going to be teaching. This is a course in deep learning, which is a topic that a lot of us have heard, but might not necessarily understand the nuances of or what exactly that means. Deep learning is really the science of deriving meaning from really large or complicated data sets. So it's this field of data science where we're concerned with what can we do regarding specifically using a particular kind of neural network, that is a neural network with many layers in between its input and its output, to try to obtain some kind of an insight into what that data represents. So that could look like, for example, predicting what the future of a signal might be if you have data that is a signal through time, or producing new outputs that would fit naturally into the training data set. Things like that. So we'll talk a little bit more about the specifics of that. From a very big overview of the course, the idea here is that we want to provide for you a balance of theory and practice. So what that means is that students who are coming through this course are going to become familiar both with the science, that is the underlying knowledge that makes deep learning work, and also the ability to put it to work for themselves, that is to actually do these hands-on projects using Python in order to actually use deep learning for their own purposes. So we're really targeting kind of a holistic approach to that topic. So you're going to walk away with that balance, and you're also going to be equipped with everything you would need to know after this course to train models on your own data sets and actually use machine learning and deep learning in ways that are not just kind of out of the box from a third party. So just a few topics that would be covered in this course, that are going to be covered in this course. First of all, the fundamentals of deep learning. This is really that science, that fundamental science of what is it that actually makes this tick? How does this work on a numerical level? What's going on under the hood? And then talking about several structures or architectures for neural networks. So how can we actually articulate a particular neural network that is suited for structure in data, right? So intuitively, most of us are aware that like sometimes data isn't just a random assortment of numbers, but it instead has a structure. Like, for example, language has a sequence. I can't use words in some random order. They have to be in a particular order. How can we embed knowledge of that structure in a neural network? So that's an important topic. Generative neural networks are something we'll talk about. So we're all really familiar at this point with, for example, ChatGPT. That's a generative neural network that is using a generative AI in order to basically fill in the blank, right? So it's given an input and it's trying to find an output that fits naturally based on its training data. So we're going to talk about those. And then also really important topics in knowledge transfer and distillation. So these are things that are key skills that computer engineers need in order to meet the needs of particular engineering topics. So for example, how do I transfer knowledge from something where I have a lot of training data in order to apply that to something that's related, but where I have very little training data in comparison? Or how do I optimize a model in order to be better suited to a particular task where, for example, maybe my ability to do compute is limited because maybe my application is on a cell phone instead of on a desktop computer. Topics like these that are really important for getting that last mile, bridging the gap from theory to real implementation. Just one particular, we can go to the next slide. One particular project, for example, that we will work on in this class would be training a generative image model from scratch, right? So like I said, we've all been exposed to some really impressive results in this space. Like, so for example, we might have heard of DALL-E or Stable Diffusion. These are making a big impact in the ability to generate images from prompts, word prompts. But it's actually an entirely different thing to be able to train your own model, right? To be able to equip with the knowledge to build a model like this from scratch on your own data set without needing to license that knowledge or those models from someone else. And that sort of hands-on knowledge really allows us to think about how we might, extend this technology of deep learning into other aspects of our professional lives, other than, what is made available to us in kind of an off-the-shelf way from third parties like OpenAI, for example. So, a lot of these, this is a deep learning, as we all are becoming aware, is a transformative technology, but a lot of people haven't thought about it from your perspective, right? In your particular field, in your particular area of interest, with your particular data sets, right? And so there aren't often tools that are really well suited to exactly the problems you might be interested in. And so that's why it's so important to have the skills to train these things from scratch and to do it in a way that is appropriate for your problem. So one of the big outcomes from this course then is going to be equipping students with knowledge to be able to put modern AI abilities, deep learning, to work for themselves without needing to rely on the walled gardens of third parties. And then also, when it is appropriate to use those third-party tools, it equips us with the knowledge to know when those are appropriate, what they're good for, and where they might not quite meet the needs that we might expect them to, and why. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say about deep learning. Hopefully that gives you kind of a teaser, just enough to be interested in wanting to learn more. And if there's any questions about this course, what else we'll cover, et cetera, I'd be happy to answer those at the end.
Excellent. Thanks, Tucker. Hi everyone, Ken Watson here. So we wanted to shift a little bit from the content that you'll be learning in the classroom to some of the other opportunities and resources that are going to be available to you as a Dartmouth student. As Zofia mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, we invite you to campus. We welcome you and hope that you'll have the opportunity to visit us. Part of that is because we want you to feel that you are a part of the Dartmouth community, that you are just as much a Dartmouth student as somebody who is on campus every day sitting in a brick and mortar classroom. And so to that end, we've done quite a bit of work in trying to establish connections with various offices around campus that will help support you as you work your way through this degree program. And so this is just a short list of some of those. There's both a Dartmouth computing service and Thayer's dedicated computing services, both of whom are excellent. And so you'll have access to them as you work your way through this program, as well as access to support through the Coursera platform as well. So there are a number of levels of folks in place to help work with you and address any of the issues that you might encounter as you're working in an online program. In addition to computing services, Dartmouth has a very extensive and robust library program, and again with dedicated engineering librarians who are outstanding and here to help you. So not only will you have access to virtual resources available through the library and workshops and presentations that they do, but access to a number of other things that they offer, including hard copy documentation and things like that. So we would encourage you to get in touch with the librarians, find out exactly what they can do for you to help kind of supplement the work that you're doing inside the classroom. Student wellness is very important to us. This is a rigorous program, and sometimes it can be a little stressful. And so we want to make sure that your health and well-being are supported. And so we work with Dartmouth, works with an organization called You Will, which provides telehealth and counseling services, which you would be eligible to access again as a remote student enrolled in graduate programs. And so you'll have the opportunity to connect with counselors if you need them to ensure that your health and well-being are being supported as well. This one is kind of a fun one. Not everybody takes advantage of it, but you're eligible for a Dartmouth student ID card. We call it the Dart card. And so when you enroll in the program, we'll send you instructions on how to submit your photo and order the card. And then we'll have somebody on campus come pick it up. Usually it's me, and drop it in the mail for you if you're not able to get to Hanover to pick it up yourself. So, you'll have the opportunity to carry around your Dartmouth student ID card with you. And then I think some of these other ones are really, the value cannot be overstated. One of the fantastic things about coming to a school like Dartmouth is the opportunity for networking and connection with our alumni association. Particularly in the online program, we have students from a really broad range of backgrounds and at different points of their career trajectory. And so you'll have the opportunity to be in class with and engage with folks from really different, maybe different places than where you are from, and in different points of their career than where you are. But it helps kind of enrich, I think, the experience and gives you some fresh perspective, and that collection of knowledge really helps both inside the classroom, and then once you graduate, as you move on in your careers, you'll have the opportunity to connect with each other. And with the alumni associations, there are various regional alumni associations that you can participate with, and we encourage you to do so. And then, as Sophia mentioned again at the beginning, if you're not able to come to campus at any point, we'd really love to have you come for investiture and commencement. It seems like a long way away right now as you are thinking about submitting an application, but I can promise it'll get here faster than you know. And so we'd love to have you start thinking now about the opportunity to come to campus with the regalia, the robe and cap, and walk with your fellow graduates to celebrate your accomplishments and successes. So in addition to those resources that I just mentioned on the previous slide, Thayer also has a dedicated career services team that is here to work with you and engage with you, regardless of where you are kind of in your professional life. We encourage students to get to know them quickly. In your first term, you can reach out, and they offer a whole suite of opportunities to students in the virtual setting that include everything from resume reviews and interview coaching to virtual career fairs and job fairs. And we'll work with you to kind of make sure that whatever it is you might need to take the next step in your career, that you are supported with folks who work specifically with engineering students and understand the needs and demands of engineering graduates in the job field. So you can see a kind of a small example here of some of the places where our graduates have gone and some of the types of positions they've worked in. And I don't think it would be a stretch to say that these are places that you might see yourself if you're so inclined once you finish the program. So another I think key important point to bring up is access to financial aid. And so the online MEng program is eligible for all of the standard federal financial aid that our on-campus programs are eligible for. If you're a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, that means that you get like Department of Education, access to Department of Education loans. There are a whole host of scholarship and grants available as well. Our colleagues at Coursera have put together a really helpful database to help you identify non-loan opportunities for funding. And so if you haven't had a chance to yet, we certainly encourage you to check out their website and just search for Funding My Education, and you should find links to a number of ways to identify potential funding sources aside from loans. If you're employed, we also encourage you to talk to your employer, let them know that you're going to be going through this program. In many cases, there are opportunities for tuition reimbursement or tuition remission. And so we would encourage you to connect with your employer and find out what opportunities are available there. We have a number of students taking advantage of these types of benefits through their workplace. And so we'd be happy to help support you and provide whatever documentation you might need in order to get that in place. And then one final note here is just to consider is that in most cases to be eligible for financial aid, you just need to be enrolled part-time. And as was illustrated on the sample course plans, part-time in this program is just one course per term. So as long as you're in just one course, you should be eligible for just about all of the standard financial aid that we've discussed here. We do have a team of financial aid administrators at Thayer that are here to support you. So if you have questions about this, feel free to reach out and we'll work with you to make sure that you get everything sorted out and are ready to go once you begin the program. Okay, and so now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague Ryan, who's going to tell us a little bit more about the application process.
Thank you, Ken. And as you can see on the screen here, for the spring classes that start March 31st, applications are still open through December 15th. That's 11 days away, including today. It seems like it may be a close time frame, but honestly, you can really put together a strong, well-written, and thoughtful application within that time frame. So you do have plenty of time at this point if you're getting underway with that. I am here for questions on things, anything related for the application process, guidance, suggestions, or advice. So I do want to encourage you, if you've started or if you're thinking about starting an application and would really like to start in March, you do have time. I can certainly walk you through that. The one piece of advice I would give as really a first step would be to request and, of course, speak with first, but then request your recommendations. Obviously, that is one thing outside of your control. So if you're able to speak with your recommenders early in this process, let them know the deadline, help them understand it is a pretty firm deadline. So, and see if they can commit to that. That will be very helpful for you. And Dartmouth does allow more than 3 recommendations. So if you're not sure, if you feel there's somebody you would like to use, but you don't know if they can commit or get it done, you're still welcome to request more than 3. And then ideally you would have the 3 minimum, if not more, for that. So I just want to give you some encouragement there. But if you are not able to start for the March classes or not prepared yet, there are also classes coming up in September. So the next cohort for the fall of 2025 session will be starting in September. And on this upcoming slide here, we'll see the dates on there. The application deadlines will be starting for the priority deadline May 15th, and then the final deadline will be June 15th for the fall cohort. And Ken, if you're able to show those dates on the screen, that'd be fantastic. Thank you. As far as I meant to say on the other screen there, as far as the fall applications, you are able to still submit a fall application by the December 15th deadline and still get a decision now instead of waiting until the May 15th or June 15th timeframe. So if you're eager, you know you can't start in spring, you want to start in fall, and you'd like to get a decision soon, then certainly you can get that in by December 15th and know well ahead of time. But as you can see on the screen, their applications, they are reviewed holistically. So take your time, be intentional. Every aspect matters. They are very good at reviewing each part of the application. That each part tells a bigger picture of your readiness for the program, your background. So don't rush through any of the sections. Each part will be helpful in that. And as I mentioned, I'm certainly glad to talk through any questions that you have. The May 15th deadline, you'll see on the screen there is an application fee waiver for that priority deadline. So if you do get in the fall application by May 15th, that will be waived for you. But I'll be excited to help out and look forward to hopefully talking to many of you. And then as you can see there, there's obviously additional follow-up for questions on the websites that you can visit for more details on things from there.
And you can scan this QR code if you want to schedule a meeting with Ryan. Thanks, everybody. We've had some questions come in the chat, in the Q&A along the way. And I wanted to talk a little bit about preparation and getting ready for the program, and what content you might need coming in. So we do expect you to have calculus, including multivariable calculus and linear algebra on the math side. Probability and statistics will also be beneficial to you. You can fulfill these prerequisites in a number of ways. It does not have to be through a 4-credit course. You can do open study with online materials that you find. You can take courses on Coursera. You can take courses at a community college. You can get that content in a number of different ways. What's important is that you tell us that you have done that. And are able to talk about what you've learned and how you fulfilled those prerequisites. But it does not have to be courses that you took during your undergraduate degree. It can be, if it is things that you took in your undergraduate degree, that's great. But we don't expect everybody to have necessarily a computer engineering undergraduate degree coming into this program. You will also need some programming skills. C and Python are both used extensively throughout the program, but it doesn't, we're sort of agnostic to what programming language your existing experience is in, but you will be programming in those languages in the degree program. Some exposure to digital logic and analog circuit fundamentals is also helpful. Although for the hardware courses, we are finding that a lot of our students are not coming in with that. So we are trying to get people up to speed in those courses. We're also working on, we don't have it ready yet, but a set of open content courses that can be prep and feeder for this degree program. And if you choose to meet with Ryan, he's got a list of specific courses that we recommend that he can go through in more detail with you. But again, make sure you tell us about this. I love seeing when prospective applicants have demonstrated success in online courses, because that's really nice to see, because it tells me that you've done some courses online and know that this is a format that works well for you. So that was one of the themes that I saw coming up the chat question, in the Q&A questions. And as we said, we've got applications open now for both spring and fall, and really beyond, but you can't really indicate clearly, I think, on the application if you're looking that far ahead. But you can apply now for whenever you're thinking of joining us, whether it's for this spring or the coming fall. Ken, Bethany, do you see any other questions you want to specifically speak to? Oh, I see some more questions have just can't come in. Oh, we have a question about deferrals. Yes, you can apply to defer. We would love to have you come, but if something happens and your circumstances change, or funding from your employer falls through, or you get a new job or something like that, yes, it is possible to defer. You just have to submit a request for deferral. So if you get in and something comes up, yes, you can defer to future terms. Ken, Bethany, do either of you want to add anything from the questions?
You've done a great job,
All
Zofia.
right. Well, yeah. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
I was just gonna say, I think when we get questions about applications and students or prospective students trying to kind of figure out the best way to put their best foot forward. And we get a lot of questions about the letters of recommendation. And so, I know Ryan talked about this a little bit. It's helpful for us to have letters, for our admissions team to have letters from folks who can speak to your capabilities and your character. And particularly in an online program, we get folks in many cases who have not been in school for a little while. So I think it's important to note that letters of recommendation can come from yeah, they don't need to be from former professors or faculty members or folks that you worked with in an undergrad if your undergrad setting or previous graduate setting was a long time ago. We've had letters submitted from employers or from colleagues, or in some cases, if somebody has done some volunteer work. So really, anybody that can speak to your capabilities and your character, so that you can illustrate that you can be successful in this program. That's what we're looking for. And so, as Ryan said, it's important to get in touch with your letter writers early and make sure that number one, that you're asking for a letter, but kind of let them know what it is about this program that you're interested in, so that they can speak to those things and really help paint a full picture of why you'd like to be a part of this program. And that kind of segues into the other recommendation I would have about the another component of the application is the statement of intent. And this is your place to really kind of help us understand why it is you're choosing this program, and why this program is a good fit for your goals. And so there's a prompt for the statement of intent. If you haven't had a chance to take a look at the application yet, there's a prompt that asks you what your short and long-term goals are, and how this program will help you get there. And so I encourage you to be thoughtful and really uh, do your best to kind of communicate what it is about our program in particular that will help you achieve those goals. As I've said, we've had some really outstanding, very accomplished folks come through this degree program, and but there's always more to learn, and so we're curious about how we can help you get to where you want to go. So those would be my kind of my 2 cents on submitting a strong application, and of course Ryan can tell you more on an individual basis if you're able to connect with him.
Great. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, that's all very good advice. I've seen a couple more questions come in. We've got a question about taking time off in the middle of the program. You are allowed to take up to 2 consecutive terms off without needing to apply for any kind of leave of absence. You could take courses one term, then take a term off, then take courses another term, take another term off. Do note that you can only do that for so long, or you're going to run into trouble schedule-wise, because most courses are only offered in certain terms. So you do need to plan out your schedule carefully. But yes, there is flexibility to do that. You have 6 total years to complete the degree, so you do have time. You do not need to do it straight through as fast as possible. We've seen a number of students already take 1 or 2 terms off and then come back into classes. So yes, absolutely. A question about financial aid availability. Yes, U.S. citizens and permanent residents are eligible to apply for federal loans. So yes, you can find out more information about that on our webpage. Let's see, we've got questions about successor challenges non-STEM undergrad applicants would face. So I think that we've seen some people without a STEM undergraduate degree, but who have been working more in the STEM field, be very successful in the program. I think it's really about having coursework. This is definitely not, you do need to have those prerequisite coursework in order to be successful in the program. The first couple of courses are fairly math heavy. You do need to come in being prepared to program, being prepared to do graduate level math. But you don't need to have gotten that preparation through your undergraduate degree. So I think we've seen students be successful there. And we're happy to chat more. Ryan can also chat more if you're able to connect with him. And let's see. So there's some other questions about like whether transfer credits are acceptable. No, the Master of Engineering, actually Dartmouth in general at Thayer, we do not take transfer credit for our degree programs from other schools in general. Um, let's see. We had a couple of questions come in about access to campus. So yes, you can stop by, you can swing by, you can come visit the libraries. You'll have internet access through your Dartmouth credentials. Um, you won't have access to things like the gym because that's covered through student fees. And one bonus of being in an online Master of Engineering program is that you don't have to pay any of those student fees because we expect that you are not on campus all the time like our on-campus students. So that's one of your bonuses. What you see is what you get for tuition. There aren't extra fees there. Um, let's see. We had a question about stackability with the PhD program. You could certainly apply for a PhD program after this. I think in general, a PhD program is just much less course based. So there isn't really so much stackability into a research based program from this course based Master of Engineering. A question about undergraduate GPA and it not being so great. Can you improve your admission chances if you have a better GPA in graduate courses from elsewhere? Yes, you absolutely can. So, particularly like if your undergraduate degree was quite some time ago and you have improved grades in your graduate degree, we will count those more recent grades more heavily. Or even if your undergraduate grades start off really weak and then are much stronger by your junior or senior year, we will also weight that more heavily. So we are looking at your application holistically and not just looking at like, oh, well, this GPA is really low. I don't know. But if you have future work and future graduate study or even later in undergraduate work that has better, stronger grades, that is definitely something we love to see and improves your chances. So I think that is just about everything. We remind you that the application deadline, the final deadline for the spring term is December 15th. So that's coming up rapidly. You can also apply now for the fall term 2025. Those deadlines are later on in the spring, but you can get your application in now. We really hope that many of you will consider applying if you haven't already submitted your applications. And we hope to be welcoming some of you to our graduate program in the future. It's a great program. We have a really good community of students that we're really enjoying working with. And it's a really great team of faculty and staff who are really excited to welcome you. So thank you all for taking the time to listen to a little bit more information about our graduate program today.
And I will, as a final encouragement, just if you have questions, if you're unsure, whether it's timing, whether it's suitability, your background, please don't let those questions go unanswered. That's what I'm here for. And I've been able to help many people get clarity on their situation to see if it's a good program. So in my opinion, always better to ask the questions and find out than to let them go unanswered and maybe regret that in the future. So if you're curious, if you're wondering, please reach out. I'll be glad to talk with you.